The Last of Us Part 1. One of the deepest, most detailed, most interesting stories ever told in the video game medium. The depth of the truly human emotion depicted in this game is second to none, and that is why it is one of the most, if not the most acclaimed game of all time. This is going to be a pretty different video from me, because while most of my videos are quite unserious, this one I want to actually seriously discuss the depth of the emotion within this game's ending and why what happens before it and the questions it leaves you with afterwards matters so much in context to the story of this game. The power of The Last of Us' ending is proven by how so many people still to this day justify or not justify Joel's decision to do what he did in the hospital at the end of the game, and the moral questions that this ending presents is the reason as to why so many people still talk about it now and why it is so important and will continue to be so important, not only as a video game, but as a story for many more years to come. And so, ladies and gents, without further ado, let's dive right into the ending of The Last of Us. In order to understand why the ending of The Last of Us is so important, we need to understand the context behind the situation. And so while all of you watching this video probably already know, let's just, go over it again so we know what we're looking at here. The story, while led by Joel, is centered around Ellie and her immunity to the infection. She has a bite that she's had for just under a month and has not been infected, and the goal is to get Ellie to the Fireflies to hopefully try and figure out a way to cure the virus and restore humanity's control of Earth. The entire game is built around this hope, this miracle instance of a human not turning into one of the infected, and that's what makes the ending that much more powerful, because it was all for nothing, but it wasn't at the same time because of what it means to those affected. After going through what can only be described as a living hell multiple times over, Joel and Ellie finally arrive in Salt Lake City, where they will be going to St. Mary's Hospital, where they are going to find the Fireflies and hopefully finally get answers as to what will possibly be a cure to the cordyceps brain infection. However, upon arriving at St. Mary's Hospital, Joel comes to a horrible realization. The realization that there is no way to get a potential cure and study Ellie's immunity without her dying. Not only without her consent, but without Joel even knowing until it seems to be too late. He and Ellie came all this way, lost so much, and yet once this little detail, or well, I suppose massive detail, was revealed, he didn't want to do it anymore, despite the amount of lives that could possibly be saved. One thing that I find very interesting that's kind of shown in this scene is that we know Joel isn't a very moral man, but he clearly does not really care that much about the lives of humanity, just so long as Ellie isn't sacrificed.
Find someone else.
There is no one else.
Listen, you were gonna show me where's...
Joel, quite frankly, doesn't care about saving humanity, and he doesn't care who has to die in order to make it happen, if it is going to happen. As long as it's not Ellie, because at this stage, due to the amount of people he's lost, Ellie is pretty much the only thing he cares about, and metaphorically speaking, he's, having to choose between saving the world or what has now become his world. 90% of the humans you encounter in The Last of Us are complete and utter arseholes. And yes, they're only arseholes because they're, hardened survivors and they're doing all they can to survive with the minimal resources they have. But when the world has turned into that, why on earth would Joel want to save it? And not only want to save it, but have a chance of saving it, not even a guarantee. Why on earth would he give away the life of the only person he now cares about to save a world that he doesn't care about? It wouldn't make any sense, and while yes, ethically speaking, he did the wrong thing in this instance, I am trying to rationalise by taking a look at his perspective and what the world has become, and what he's seen and witnessed being in it for this long. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that points of, how realistic it is that the infection could work aren't really relevant, because at the end of the day, there could be a 100% guaranteed chance of the infection being vaccinated via studying Ellie's brain. Joel could know this, and he would still have made the same decision 100 times over. And, as we understand, the reason for Joel doing this is because why on earth would it be fair to give the life of an innocent, harmless girl to save a world that is, honestly, at this point, not even deserving of being preserved. The only reason I decided to bring up the likelihood of a vaccine being actually realistic and possible is because, well, if we're trying to justify this decision ethically, we have to think about the statistics and the likelihood of it being a thing that can actually be achieved. But at the same time, we do have to recognise and remember that in the mind of Joel, he did not give a shit. He would have done it a million times over, regardless of how likely it would have been for a vaccine to be possible. And while the ending hospital segment of this game is incredibly powerful emotionally and morally, I'd argue that the actual final scene is maybe even more important because of one thing Joel says that emphasises everything this game and this story has been about from the very beginning.
No matter what, you keep finding something to fight for.
In this context, that something is and was Ellie, and will always be Ellie at this point, because the only thing Joel is clinging to in this broken, fractured world is her, which is why he did what he did, and why, I'll reiterate, he would do it a million times over. Anyway, y'all, that's it from me. Yeah, I know this has been more of a serious video, there hasn't really been any funny clips, so I'm kind of diverging here, really, from my normal formula, but I just want to talk about its ending, because it is so good, so powerful, and I could go more into detail if I wanted to, but I do plan on doing a full video on The Last of Us. I probably won't touch on the ending much, because that's kind of what this video's for, but I will do a full analysis of this game, talking gameplay, mechanics, visuals, story, everything from start to finish. It'll probably be a much longer video and probably won't be going up for another few weeks. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing down below. And I will see you in the next one. See ya.
I just need to know. I just need to know.